You know what? I'm gonna tell you something. Something I've never told anyone, because you're a stranger, and strangers are safe, and I desperately need someone to know how completely, utterly, pathetically in love I am. His name is Julian. Julian Harrison, and he's perfect. Not like cute guy at the coffee shop perfect, like ruin me for all other men perfect, like I see his face when I close my eyes perfect, like I would let him destroy my life and thank him for it perfect. I work for him. I work for him, which means this is inappropriate and impossible and completely hopeless. But I can't help it. I've tried. God, I've tried. I've tried to stop noticing how he takes his coffee. I've tried to stop memorizing his schedule. I've tried to stop learning everything about him like he's my favorite subject and I'm studying for the most important exam of my life. But I can't, because he's him. Because when he walks into a room, everyone stops breathing. Because when he talks, people listen. Because underneath all that cold, scary CEO exterior, he's actually kind. He helps people when no one's watching. He cares, even when he pretends not to. And I see it. I see him, the real him. And I'm so desperately in love, it physically hurts. And the worst part, he has no idea. He looks right through me like I'm invisible, like I'm just another employee, another name on a payroll, another forgettable face in a sea of suits. Meanwhile, I'm over here drowning in feelings and buying his shampoo just so I can smell like him and pretend for 1 second that we exist in the same universe. So yeah, that's me. That's my sad, pathetic life. I'm in love with a man I can't have, in a situation that can never work, and my only coping mechanism is Thai food and wine. Judge me. Go ahead. Can't be worse than how I judge myself every single, that voice. The one from every fantasy, every dream, every impossible scenario. Leo, I need you to put down the wine and listen very carefully. Why does the delivery guy sound like... No, this is the wine. I'm hallucinating. I'm having an auditory hallucination because I'm so obsessed that my brain is making me hear him. You're not hallucinating. It's me. And for the record, I don't look through you. I look at you every single day. I always have. Oh God. Oh God, oh God, oh God. This isn't happening. This is the wine. I'm hallucinating. I have to be hallucinating because there is absolutely no universe where Julian Harrison, my boss, my literal superior, the man who signs my paychecks, is standing in my apartment doorway holding a soggy paper bag of Thai food while I just told him I want to kiss him. But before I completely spiral into a panic attack, let me back up. Let me tell you how I got here, how I became the pathetic junior analyst who fell hopelessly, desperately, stupidly in love with her boss. It started 2 years ago, my first day at Harrison Industries. I remember walking into that sleek Manhattan high-rise at 6:45 a.m., wearing my best and only suit that I'd bought on sale at Macy's. My hands were sweating. My resume was impressive enough to get me past 346 other candidates, but actually being there, actually starting the job, I was terrified. The office was all glass and steel and minimalist furniture that probably cost more than my entire college tuition. Everyone looked important. Everyone looked like they belonged, and I felt like an imposter in a borrowed suit. Then I saw him. Julian Harrison stepped out of the private elevator at exactly 6:47 a.m. Not 6:45, not 6:50, 6:47. I didn't know it yet, but that would become important. That precision, that exactness, it was so completely him. He was wearing a charcoal Tom Ford suit that fit him like it was painted on. His hair was dark, perfectly styled, with just a hint of silver at the temples that made him look distinguished instead of old. He was 38. I was 26. And when he walked past me in that lobby, I swear to God, time stopped. He smelled like expensive cologne. I later learned it was Tom Ford Oud Wood, and confidence and power. His jaw was sharp enough to cut glass. His eyes were this intense shade of gray that reminded me of storm clouds. And he didn't smile, didn't even glance in my direction, just strode through that lobby like he owned the world. Which technically he kinda did. "That's Mr. Harrison," my new colleague Sarah whispered to me, appearing at my elbow. "The CEO. Don't stare. He hates when people stare."
Also, don't talk to him unless he talks to you first. Also, don't ever be late with your reports. Jenny from accounting was late once, and he made her redo everything in front of the entire department. She cried for an hour in the bathroom. Great. My boss was a tyrant. A gorgeous, terrifying tyrant. The first 3 months, I barely spoke to him. I kept my head down, did my work, stayed late every single night to make sure everything I produced was perfect. I learned quickly that Julian Harrison didn't tolerate mistakes. He didn't do second chances. You got it right the first time, or you got out. I watched him destroy people in meetings. Not physically, obviously, but verbally. The man could dismantle your entire argument, your confidence, your will to live in under 60 seconds. He did it with this cold, calm precision that was somehow worse than yelling. Marcus from marketing once presented a campaign that had a single typo on slide 17. One typo. Julian stopped the entire presentation, stared at the slide for what felt like an eternity, then said, "If you can't be bothered to proofread your own work, why should I be bothered to listen to it?" Marcus was a senior VP. He'd been with the company for 8 years. He left that meeting looking like he'd been hit by a truck. But here's the thing. Here's the thing nobody else seemed to notice. Every Thursday at 3:15 p.m., Julian personally called the hospital to check on Marcus's wife, who was going through chemotherapy. He never mentioned it, never made a big deal about it, but I saw the phone records when I was filing expense reports. 20-minute calls every single Thursday to Memorial Sloan Kettering. And when the intern, this kid fresh out of NYU, who was so nervous he could barely string 2 sentences together, stayed late one night struggling with the data model, Julian didn't leave. It was 9 p.m. Julian could have been anywhere, but he sat down next to that kid and walked him through it, step by step, for 2 hours. The next morning, Julian ripped apart a senior analyst's presentation for being intellectually lazy. Jekyll and Hyde, Ice King and Secret Softy, and I was fascinated. I started paying attention, really paying attention. I learned his schedule, 6:47 a.m. arrival every single morning. Stop at the coffee cart on 5th and Madison. Black coffee, 1 sugar, always a $5 tip for a $3 coffee. Into the building by 7:52. First meeting at 7:30. Coffee break at 10:15 a.m. Exactly 10:15. He'd stand by his office window with his coffee and stare out at the city for exactly 8 minutes. I timed it, multiple times. 8 minutes, every day. Lunch was always working lunch. Salad from the place on 53rd Street, dressing on the side. He'd eat at his desk while reviewing reports. Second coffee break at 3:30 p.m. But on bad days, days when a deal fell through or the board was being difficult or something was weighing on him, he'd skip the 3:30 coffee and instead stand by that window at 2:47 p.m. Same position, same faraway look in his eyes, like he was searching for something he'd lost. I noticed that he used blue pens, not black, blue. Specifically, Pilot G2 pens in 0.7 millimeters. He tapped them 3 times before signing important documents. 1, 2, 3. Then signature. I noticed that he was left-handed, but signed documents with his right hand. I found out later, much later, that his father told him left-handed signatures looked unprofessional, so he taught himself to write with his right hand for business purposes. I noticed that on Fridays, he switched colognes. Monday through Thursday, Tom Ford Oud Wood. Friday, Bleu de Chanel. I have no idea why, but the pattern never changed. I noticed that his hair was always slightly damp when he arrived on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which meant he had a morning workout routine on those days. The scent that lingered was eucalyptus and mint, Kiehl's amino acid shampoo. I went to 3 different stores until I found it, because I'm completely insane. 6 months into the job, I finally spoke to him directly. It was a board presentation. Big deal. Potential merger worth $75 million. Julian was presenting the financials, and I'd helped compile the data. I was in the back of the room, basically invisible, taking note. He got to slide 12, revenue projections for Q3, and the number was wrong. Not by much, just a decimal point, but it was wrong, and if the board approved the merger based on that number, it would be a disaster.
Everyone else in that room was nodding along. Senior VPs, the CFO, board members, all of them looking at that slide like it was the gospel truth.
My heart was pounding. My hands were shaking. Sarah had told me never to speak unless spoken to, but if I didn't say something, this deal would go through with faulty data, and that would be so much worse than embarrassing myself. I raised my hand. The entire room turned to look at me. Julian's eyes landed on me, and I swear I felt it like a physical touch. Yes? His voice was cold, clipped, annoyed at the interruption. The number on slide 12, sir. I think there's an error. The revenue projection should be 7.3 million, not 73 million. The decimal point it's in the wrong place. Silence. Complete, suffocating silence. Julian looked at the slide, then at his notes, then back at the slide. Then he did something I never expected. He smiled. Not a big smile, just a tiny quirk of his lips, but it was there. You're absolutely right. Thank you, Leo. Someone fix that immediately before we continue. The meeting moved on. The merger was approved with the correct numbers. And when it was over, Julian stopped me in the hallway. Leo Martinez, correct? Yes, sir. You just saved this company from a very expensive mistake. That took courage. Not many people would speak up in a room full of executives. I wanted to make sure the data was accurate, sir. He studied me for a long moment, those gray eyes searching my face like he was trying to figure me out. Keep doing that. Keep being brave. It's a rare quality. Then he walked away, and I stood there in that hallway feeling like I'd just been knighted. That was the moment, the exact moment I fell in love with Julian Harrison. After that, things changed. Small things. He started acknowledging me in the hallways. Morning, Leo. Just those 2 words, but they made my entire day. He'd ask me specifically to compile reports for him. Leo, I need the Q2 analysis by Friday. Can you handle that? Could I handle it? I would have walked through fire to handle it. I started coming in earlier. If Julian arrived at 6:47, I'd arrive at 6:30, just to see him walk through that lobby, just to catch a glimpse of him before the day started. I memorized his coffee order and started bringing him coffee without being asked. Black, 1 sugar. He looked surprised the first time I did it. How did you know how I take my coffee? I pay attention, sir. Another one of those small smiles. Thank you, Leo. I learned what mood he was in by how he wore his tie. Perfectly knotted, good day. Slightly loose, stressed. 1 inch looser, don't approach unless absolutely necessary. I learned that when he was deep in thought, he'd run his hand through his hair, messing up that perfect style. He'd do it unconsciously, and then 5 minutes later, he'd fix it without even realizing. I learned that he drank water with exactly 2 ice cubes, not 3, not 1, 2. I learned that he read the Financial Times in the morning and the Wall Street Journal in the afternoon. I started reading them too, just so I'd understand what he was thinking about. I learned that he had a younger brother who ran the family's restaurant business in Brooklyn. His mother owned a Thai place. I only knew this because I overheard a phone call once when I was dropping off documents. Yes, Ma, I know you need help with the Friday night rush. I'll be there if I can. I love you too. The Ice King had a mother. Who knew? 1 year into the job, I admitted to myself what I already knew. I was completely, hopelessly, desperately in love with my boss. Not just attracted to him, not just impressed by him, in love. I loved the way he commanded a room, the way people listened when he spoke, the way he could solve complex problems in minutes that took everyone else hours. I loved his precision, his perfectionism, the fact that he demanded excellence because he believed people were capable of it. I loved that he was ruthless in business, but secretly kind when no one was watching. I loved his hands. God, his hands. Long fingers, always immaculately clean, with this one thin scar across his left palm that I desperately wanted to know the story behind. I loved his voice, deep and smooth and commanding. He could say my name, Leo, and it sounded like poetry. I loved that on days when he was exhausted, really exhausted, He'd close his eyes for just a moment before starting the next meeting, like he was gathering strength, like he was human after all. But I also knew it was impossible. He was Julian Harrison, billionaire, CEO, Manhattan royalty, the man on the cover of Forbes twice. I was Julian Martinez, junior analyst, student loans, cramped studio apartment in Brooklyn. I took the subway to work while he had a private car service. We existed in completely different worlds. The fact that we worked in the same building was just geography. It didn't mean anything. So I kept my feelings to myself. I watched him from a distance. I brought him coffee and compiled his reports, and stayed late when he stayed late, working in my cubicle while he worked in his corner office. And I pretended that being near him was enough. It had to be enough. 18 months in, something shifted. I noticed him watching me. Not obviously. Julian Harrison didn't do anything obviously. But I'd look up from my desk and catch him staring. He'd look away immediately, but not before I saw something in his eyes. Something that looked almost like longing.
No, that was wishful thinking. That was my stupid heart reading into things that weren't there. But then it kept happening. In meetings, his eyes would find mine across the conference table. When I presented data, he'd watch me like I was the only person in the room. When I brought him coffee, his fingers would brush mine for just a second longer than necessary. Once, I wore a blue tie, navy blue, matched with a gray suit. I thought I looked professional, put together. I walked into the morning briefing, and Julian stopped mid-sentence. Just stopped, stared at me for 3 full seconds while everyone else looked around confused. Then he cleared his throat and continued like nothing happened. But I noticed, and I wondered, was I going crazy? Was I imagining things? Or was Julian Harrison, the most untouchable man in Manhattan, actually noticing me? 2 years in, I'd perfected the art of being in love with someone who didn't love me back. I had a routine, a sad, pathetic routine. Morning. Arrive at 6:30 a.m. Watch Julian walk through the lobby at 6:47. Memorize what he's wearing. Notice if he looks tired or stressed or happy. Mid-morning. Bring him coffee without being asked. Relish the small thank you and the brief moment when our eyes meet. Afternoon. Volunteer for any project that means I get to work directly with him. Compile reports. Analyze data. Stay late if he stays late. Evening. Go home to my tiny apartment. Eat whatever sad dinner I could throw together. Think about Julian. Dream about Julian. Hate myself a little for being so pathetic. Fridays were the worst, because Fridays meant the weekend, which meant 2 whole days without seeing him. Which brings us to tonight, this disastrous, wine-drunk, emotional breakdown Friday night. I ordered Thai food because I was sad and lonely, and Thai food is comfort food. I drank an entire bottle of cheap wine because I'd had a rough week and needed to not think for a while. And when the doorbell rang, I was already 3 sheets to the wind and feeling sorry for myself. I thought I was talking to a delivery guy, a stranger, someone I'd never see again, so I word vomited my entire pathetic life story all over him. I told him about Julian, about how cold he is, about how I think I'm in love with him, about how it's the most ridiculous, impossible situation in the world. And then I heard his voice. "You're not crazy, Leo, but you are significantly late on the quarterly projections I asked for this afternoon." That voice, the deep, calm, terrifyingly familiar voice. Julian Harrison, my boss, standing in my doorway, holding my Thai food, having just heard me confess that I'm in love with him. Which brings us back to now, to this moment, to the shattered glass on my floor and the complete destruction of my career and my dignity. Mr. Harrison, why are you holding my delivery bag? He steps inside my apartment, my tiny, messy, embarrassing apartment with its secondhand furniture and dishes in the sink and laundry piled on the couch, and sets the food down on my counter. Our food delivery guy quit an hour ago, and the agency is short-staffed. I happened to be at the restaurant finishing a meeting. Since I knew exactly who you are and where you lived from your HR file, I decided to handle it myself. I didn't expect to find my junior analyst in such a candid state. Oh, God. Oh, God, he knew it was me. He knew he was coming to my apartment, and I just confessed everything. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was drunk and emotional, and I didn't know it was you. And please, please just pretend this never happened. And I swear I'll have those quarterly projections to you by midnight. Leo, he says my name softly, almost gently. Breathe. You're turning an alarming shade of red. Breathe? Breathe? I'm spiraling. I'm completely spiraling. Sir, with all due respect, and I mean that in the most professional way possible, even though I'm currently wearing pajama pants with cartoon cats on them and there's wine dripping down my cabinet, I just confessed my undying love to you while calling you a robot made of dry ice. Breathing is not exactly a priority right now. Surviving Monday morning is. He's walking toward me now. Slow, deliberate steps. His motorcycle helmet, because apparently Julian Harrison rides a motorcycle, which is information I'm filing away for later panic, is on my table. His leather jacket is damp from the rain. His cologne underneath, Tom Ford Oud Wood, like always. I've smelt it 1,000 times from across a desk, across a conference room, but never like this. Never in my space, in my apartment, standing close enough that I can see the individual threads in his shirt.
Leo, look at me. I can't. If I look at him, if I see pity or disgust or professional disappointment in his eyes, I'll shatter worse than that wine glass. I can't. Look at me. His voice drops lower, commanding, the CEO voice, the voice that makes senior VPs scramble to obey. So I look up, and what I see in his eyes isn't pity, isn't disgust, isn't professional disappointment. It's something else entirely. Something that makes my breath catch and my heart stop and my entire world tilt sideways. I'm not going to fire you, he says quietly, but we are going to talk about what you said. All of it. Starting with how you know I take my coffee. My mouth goes dry, because this is it. This is where I have to admit that I'm not just an attentive employee. I'm a stalker, a creep, someone who's been obsessively cataloging every detail of his life for 2 years. I pay attention at work. I'm observant. It's part of my job to be detail-oriented, and you're my boss, so naturally I notice things. Leo, stop. I stop. You know I take my coffee black with 1 sugar. You know I use Kiehl's amino acid shampoo because you once mentioned that the office supply closet on the 3rd floor always smells like eucalyptus and ambition. You know I prefer blue pens over black ones. You know my dry cleaning is delivered every Thursday at 3 p.m. You know exactly how I like my water. 2 ice cubes, not 3. He's listing it all. Every tiny detail I thought I was hiding. You know I arrive at 6:47 every morning. You know I take my coffee breaks at 10:15 and 3:30. You know that on Fridays I wear different cologne. You know that when I'm stressed, I loosen my tie exactly 1 inch. You know that I stand by my window at 2:47 on bad days. Oh God, he noticed. He noticed that I noticed. How? My voice is barely a whisper. How do you know that I know all of that? And then Julian Harrison does something that breaks my brain completely. He smiles. Really smiles. Not the professional smile he gives clients or the tiny smirk he gives when he's won a negotiation. A real, genuine, soft smile that makes him look younger and more human and so beautiful I can't breathe. Because I notice everything about you, Leo. Everything. Wait, what? I notice that you started arriving at 6:30 every morning exactly 6 months into your employment. I notice that you bring me coffee without being asked, and it's always exactly right. I notice that you wear that navy blue tie that matches your eyes whenever you want to make a good impression. I notice that you bite your bottom lip when you're concentrating on a difficult problem. I notice that you organize your desk calendar with color-coded tabs, blue for meetings, green for deadlines, yellow for important calls. He takes another step closer. I should back up. I should maintain professional distance, but I'm frozen. I noticed that you said good morning to me every single day for 6 months before I finally had the courage to say it back. I noticed that you smell like coffee and something sweet I can never quite place. I think it's vanilla from your chapstick. I noticed that you stay late every Thursday, not because you have to, because I stay late every Thursday. You noticed when I stayed late? I notice everything about you, he repeats, and his voice is rougher now, less controlled. The way you tuck your hair behind your ear when you're nervous, the way you celebrate small victories, you do this little fist pump when you think no one's looking, the way you're kind to the interns even when they make mistakes, the way you stood up in that board meeting and corrected my data even though you were terrified. I wasn't terrified. Your hands were shaking. I saw them. We're staring at each other now. The rain is still hammering against my windows. My apartment is still a mess. There's still broken glass on the floor. But none of that matters because Julian Harrison just told me he notices everything about me. I don't understand. You're you. You're Julian Harrison. You're on the cover of Forbes. You negotiate billion-dollar deals. You could have anyone. Why would you notice me? His hand comes up, and I think he's going to touch my face, but he stops himself. His hand hovers in the air between us for a moment before he drops it. Because you're extraordinary, Leo. Because you're brilliant and brave and kind. Because you see people, really see them, in a way most people in our industry don't. Because when you look at me, you don't see the CEO or the money or the reputation. You see me. That's not true, I argue, even though my heart is racing. I see all of that. I see the CEO and the power and the way you command rooms full of people, but I also see the way you secretly check on your employees when they're struggling. I see the way you spent 2 hours helping that intern. I see the way you call Marcus's wife at the hospital every Thursday. I see all of you, not just the parts you show the world. Exactly. His voice is barely a whisper now, less controlled. You see all of me, and I see all of you. Do you have any idea how rare that is? No, this can't be happening. This is the wine talking. This is a hallucination brought on by stress and loneliness and too much Thai food. But you're my boss. This is inappropriate. This could never... I filed disclosure paperwork with HR 4 weeks ago. I blink. You... what? Disclosure paperwork, documenting a potential relationship with an employee. It's all official, legal, above board. I made sure of it before I ever... He trails off, running his hand through his hair in that gesture I've memorized. Before I ever let myself hope this might be possible. You filed paperwork 4 weeks ago, but we haven't even...
I know. I filed it preemptively, just in case. Just in case you ever felt the same way. Just in case there was ever a chance. My brain is struggling to process this. Julian Harrison, careful, precise, always prepared Julian Harrison, filed relationship disclosure paperwork for a relationship that didn't exist yet, for a possibility, for a hope. Why? The word comes out broken. Why would you do that? Because I'm in love with you, Leo. I have been for months, maybe longer, and I couldn't keep pretending I wasn't. I couldn't keep watching you across conference rooms and wanting to touch you. I couldn't keep accepting coffee from you and wishing I could pull you into my office and kiss you. I couldn't keep existing in this professional distance when every instinct I have is screaming at me to make you mine. The world stops. Actually stops. Time freezes. The rain stopped mid-drop. My heart stopped mid-beat. You're in love? With me? I sound like an idiot, like someone who's been hit over the head with this information and can't quite process it. Yes. With me, Leo Martinez, your junior analyst who lives in a studio apartment in Brooklyn and takes the subway and buys suits on sale?
Yes, but I'm nobody. You're not nobody. He says it fiercely, intensity burning in those gray eyes. You're everything. You're the first person I think about when I wake up. You're the reason I started coming to the office earlier so I could see you in the lobby. You're the reason I take coffee breaks at specific times because I know you'll be getting coffee then too. You're the reason I wore that blue tie 6 times in 3 months because you complimented it once. You're the reason I still use blue pens, even though black is more professional, because you noticed, because you cared enough to notice. Oh my God, he's been doing it too. He's been watching me the same way I've been watching him. All this time, while I thought I was alone in this pathetic, one-sided love, he was right there, feeling the same thing. The blue tie, I breathe. You wore it 6 times because I said I liked it? 7 times, actually. You missed one. A laugh bubbles out of me, slightly hysterical. This is insane. This whole situation is insane. You're standing in my disaster of an apartment telling me you love me after I drunk confessed to you thinking you were a delivery guy, and you've been filing HR paperwork and wearing ties I complimented, and he kisses me. Just kisses me. His hands cut my face, and his lips are on mine, and the world explodes into sensation and feeling, and oh God, this is really happening. Julian Harrison is kissing me in my tiny Brooklyn apartment, and he tastes like rain and coffee and something uniquely him, and I never want this to stop. When he pulls back, I'm breathless and dizzy and completely undone. I've wanted to do that for 18 months. Since the day you wore that navy tie and I couldn't focus on a single word in the morning briefing. 18 months? I'm still reeling, still trying to process. You've wanted to kiss me for 18 months? Longer, but 18 months ago is when I admitted it to myself, when I stopped trying to pretend you were just a talented employee and accepted that I was falling in love with you. Why didn't you say anything? Why did you wait? Because I'm your boss. Because I didn't want to put you in an uncomfortable position, because I wasn't sure you felt the same way, and I couldn't risk making your work environment hostile, because I'm a coward. He laughs self-deprecatingly. Julian Harrison, the man who negotiates billion-dollar deals without blinking, was too scared to tell his junior analyst that he loved him. You're not a coward, I say fiercely, surprising myself. You're careful. You're considerate. You didn't want to abuse your power. That's not cowardly. That's noble. That's exactly why I love you. His eyes light up. Say that again. What? That you love me. Say it again, when you're sober and looking at me and know exactly who I am. I take a deep breath. This is it. This is the moment where everything changes. I love you, Julian Harrison. I've loved you for 2 years. I love your precision and your perfectionism and the way you demand excellence because you believe in people. I love that you're ruthless in business but kind when no one's watching. I love your hands and your voice and the way you say my name. I love that you notice things, small things about the people around you. I love that you're standing in my apartment right now instead of running away from my drunk confession. I love you, all of you. Every part of you. He kisses me again, deeper this time, more desperate. His hands slide from my face to my waist, pulling me closer, and I go willingly because I've wanted this so long. When we break apart this time, we're both breathing hard. We should probably clean up that glass, he says, glancing at the shattered wine glass on the floor. Probably, I agree, but we neither move. We just stand there, holding each other, like we're both afraid that if we let go, this whole magical moment will disappear. Leo, he says softly, I need you to understand something. At work, we have to be professional. I won't show you favoritism. I won't give you special treatment. You'll earn every promotion, every raise, every achievement on your own merit. I know, I wouldn't want it any other way. But outside the office, his thumb traces my jaw. Outside the office, you're mine, completely. I'm going to take you to dinner. I'm going to introduce you to my family. My mother is already suspicious about why I've been smiling lately. I'm going to make up for 18 months of keeping my distance. Is that okay? Okay, I laugh. Julian, you could suggest literally anything right now and I'd agree to it. You could say we're moving to Antarctica and I'd pack my bags. Antarctica?
I was thinking earlier that if this went badly, I'd have to move there to escape the embarrassment. He laughs, actually laughs, deep and genuine and beautiful. No Antarctica. But how about dinner tomorrow? A real date, not just Thai food in your apartment. I'd love that. But Julian, yes?
Can we still have Thai food in my apartment sometimes? Because this, I gesture around us at the mess and the broken glass and the chaos. This feels pretty perfect to me. He rests his forehead against mine. Thai food in your apartment. Deal. As long as you promise not to get drunk and confess to any more delivery guys. Pretty sure the only delivery guy I'm interested in is you. Good, because I'm done delivering food. From now on, I'm just delivering myself. To you, for as long as you'll have me. Forever, I say without hesitation. I'll have you forever. Forever, he echoes. I like the sound of that. We do eventually clean up the glass and eat the Thai food, which is cold but still delicious, and talk, really talk, about how this is going to work, about boundaries at work and freedom outside of it, about fears and hopes and all the things we've been holding back. Julian tells me about the first time he noticed me, really noticed me. It was 3 weeks into my employment. I was in the break room, helping an intern who'd spilled coffee all over herself. I gave her my sweater and told her not to worry, that everyone has bad days. Julian saw the whole thing from his office window. "That's when I knew you were different," he says. "Everyone else in that office is so focused on climbing the ladder, on impressing me, on winning. But you just cared about a scared intern who'd made a mess. You gave her your sweater even though that meant you'd be cold for the rest of the day. That's who you are, Leo. That's why I love you." I tell him about memorizing his coffee order, about going to 3 different stores to find his shampoo, about timing his window staring sessions and learning to read his mood by his tie. I thought I was going crazy, I admit. I thought I was becoming obsessed, like a stalker. You're not a stalker. You're attentive. There's a difference. And honestly, he smiles that soft smile again. I loved that you noticed. It made me feel seen, really seen. Not as the CEO or the billionaire, just as Julian. We talk until 2 a.m. about his childhood. Grew up in Queens, worked in the family restaurant until he was 18, put himself through business school. About my childhood, raised by a single mom in the Bronx, scholarships all the way through college. About dreams and fears, and the futures we want to build. "I want to take this slow," he says at one point. "I want to do this right, date you properly, get to know you outside of quarterly projections and board meetings. I've waited 18 months. I can wait a little longer to make sure we do this right." "How long?" I ask, already knowing I'll wait however long he needs. "How about we start with 6 months? 6 months of dating, getting to know each other, making sure this works outside of the office environment. And then we'll see." 6 months, I agree. And then we'll see. Monday morning, back at the office. Walking into the office on Monday morning feels surreal. Everything looks the same. Same glass walls, same minimalist furniture, same busy analysts rushing around with coffee cups and laptops. But everything is different because I'm different. I'm in love with Julian Harrison, and miracle of miracles, he's in love with me too. We agreed to keep it quiet at work. Not secret, the HR paperwork is filed, but quiet. Professional. No special treatment, no public displays of affection. At work, he's Mr. Harrison, and I'm Leo Martinez, junior analyst. But knowing what I know now, knowing that those gray eyes looking at me across the conference table are the same ones that watched me sleep last night, I stayed at his place, in his bed, wrapped in his arms. Knowing that those hands signing documents are the same ones that traced patterns on my skin. Knowing that the man in the charcoal suit who makes VPs cry is the same man who whispered, "I love you," into my hair at 3 a.m. It changes everything. "Morning, Leo," Sarah calls out as I pass her desk. "You're glowing again. Seriously, who is he? You have to tell me." I just smile. "Morning, Sarah. Coffee?"
You're avoiding the question, but yes, please. I make coffee runs. One for Sarah, one for Marcus, one for Julian. A knock on Julian's door at exactly 10:14 a.m., right before his coffee break. "Come in," he calls out. I enter, closing the door behind me. He's at his desk, reviewing documents, looking every inch of a powerful CEO. But when he sees me, when our eyes meet, I see it. That softness, that warmth, that love he's been hiding for 18 months. "Your coffee, Mr. Harrison. Black, 1 sugar." "Thank you, Leo." His voice is professional, but his eyes are warm. "Did you finish the revised projections?" "On your desk this morning at 7 a.m., sir." "Excellent work, as always." This is it. This is our new normal. Professional during the day, in love at night. Dancing this careful line between boss and boyfriend. I turn to leave, but his voice stops me. "Leo." "Yes, sir?" "Tonight, 7 p.m. There's a new Italian place in Soho I'd like to try. With you." A smile I can't quite hide. "I'd like that, sir." "Good. It's a date." And it is. It's our first official date. The first of many. The beginning of something I never thought possible. 6 months later. 6 months flies by in a blur of stolen kisses and empty offices, weekend mornings in his penthouse, late-night talks about everything and nothing, and slowly, carefully, building a life together. We keep it quiet at work, professional, separate, but everyone knows something's changed. I get promoted to senior analyst. On merit, Julian makes very sure of that. My presentations are sharper. My confidence is higher. I'm thriving. And Julian smiles more, laughs more. The Ice King reputation starts to thaw just a little. People still respect him, fear him even, but there's something different about him now. Marcus corners me one day in the break room. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Harrison has been almost human lately. Last week he complimented my report, without any criticism. I almost fainted."
Maybe he's just in a good mood, I say casually. For 6 months straight? No way. Something changed. He studies me carefully. Or someone changed him. I don't confirm or deny, just smile and change the subject. But the truth is, we changed each other. Julian taught me to be brave, to speak up, to believe in my own worth. I taught him that vulnerability isn't weakness, that letting people in doesn't mean losing control, that love isn't a liability, it's a strength. 6 months to the day after that drunken confession, Julian takes me back to my apartment, the same tiny Brooklyn studio where this all started. "Why are we here?" I ask, confused. "We usually go to his place. His penthouse with the view of the city and the king-size bed and the kitchen I'm still learning to cook in." "Because this is where it started," he says simply, "and I wanted to come full circle." He's nervous, I can tell. He's doing that thing where he runs his hair through his hair, where he shifts his weight from foot to foot, where he takes a deep breath like he's preparing for a difficult board meeting. "Julian, what's going on?" He takes both my hands in his, those beautiful hands I've memorized, the scar on his left palm from climbing a fence when he was 12, the calluses from years of hard work, the steady grip that makes me feel safe. "6 months ago, you got drunk and told a delivery guy that you were in love with me. You listed all the reasons why it was impossible, why we existed in different worlds, why it could never work." "I remember," I say softly. "I was very dramatic." "You were honest and brave, and you changed my life." He squeezes my hands. "These past 6 months have been the happiest of my life, getting to know you, really know you, not just as my analyst, but as my partner, my best friend, the person I want to tell everything to." "Julian, let me finish, please." He takes another breath. "You were right about some things. We do exist in different worlds in some ways. You take the subway, and I have a driver. You buy suits on sale, and I have them custom made. You worry about student loans, and I worry about stock portfolios." My heart sinks a little. Is this where he tells me it's too hard, too different, that 6 months was fun, but But none of that matters because you're my world now, Leo. You're the only world I care about, and I don't want to spend another day pretending that my life before you was anything other than empty. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small velvet box. Oh God. I know it's only been 6 months. I know everyone will say it's too soon. But I've loved you for 2 years, Leo. I've known who you are and what you mean to me for 2 years, and I don't want to wait anymore. He opens the box. Inside is a simple silver band. Elegant, understated, perfect. Leo Martinez, will you marry me? I'm crying. I'm actually crying. Tears are streaming down my face, and I can't speak, can't breathe, can't do anything except stare at this impossible, wonderful man kneeling in my tiny apartment with a ring in his hand. Yes, I finally manage. Yes, 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 1,000 times yes. He slides the ring onto my finger and it fits perfectly. Of course it does, because he's Julian Harrison and he pays attention to everything. Then he's standing, and I'm in his arms, and we're kissing and crying and laughing all at once. I can't believe you proposed in my apartment, I say against his lips, the same place where I drunkenly confessed to you. It felt right, coming full circle, starting where we began. I love you so much, I whisper, so much. I love you too, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving it to you. We stand there for a long time, just holding each other. The rain is falling again, Brooklyn rain, steady and cold. But inside my tiny apartment, with Julian's arms around me, I've never felt warmer. Should we tell people, I ask eventually, about the engagement? Yes, everyone, starting with my mother, who will absolutely claim she knew this was coming. And the office? He pulls back to look at me. Monday morning. We'll tell everyone Monday morning. No more hiding, no more keeping quiet. I want the whole world to know that you're mine and I'm yours. The whole office gossip mill is going to explode. Let it explode. Let them talk. I don't care what anyone thinks as long as I have you. Monday morning. I walk into the office at my usual 6:30 a.m. Julian arrives at exactly 6:47. Same as always. But today, instead of a professional nod in the lobby, he walks straight to me and kisses me, right there, in front of the early morning security guards and the cleaning crew and anyone else who happens to be around. "Good morning, fiancé," he says with that soft smile I've memorized. "Good morning, fiancé," I echo, grinning like an idiot. By 9 a.m., the entire office knows. The gossip spreads like wildfire. Sarah practically tackles me at my desk. "Fiancé, you're engaged to Harrison and you didn't tell me?" "It just happened over the weekend." "How long have you been dating? How did this happen? Tell me everything." Before I can answer, Julian's voice comes over the office intercom. "All senior staff and analysts, please report to the main conference room immediately." Sarah grabs my hand. "This is it. This is where he either announces it officially or fires you for fraternization. I can't tell which." "He's not going to fire me. We filed the paperwork months ago." "Wait, months ago?" The conference room is packed. Everyone's there, from the interns to the VPs. Julian stands at the front, looking commanding and professional in his charcoal suit. But when his eyes find mine across the room, they soften.
Thank you all for coming on short notice. I have an announcement to make, and I wanted to address it directly rather than let office gossip run wild. He pauses. As many of you have heard by now, I am engaged to Leo Martinez, one of our senior analysts. Silence. Everyone's staring at me. I feel my face burning. I want to be very clear about several things. First, our relationship is personal, not professional. All appropriate HR disclosures were filed months ago. Second, Leo has earned every promotion and achievement on his own merit. His brilliant work speaks for itself. Third, anyone who has questions or concerns about this should speak directly with me or with HR. He looks at me again, and this time he smiles, really smiles, the smile he reserves for moments when it's just us. That said, I also want everyone to understand that Leo is the most important person in my life. He makes me a better person, a better leader,
And yes, a better boss. The fact that he chose to be with me is the greatest achievement of my life, greater than any Forbes cover or billion-dollar deal. Sarah squeezes my hand. Oh my God, this is so romantic, I might die. Marcus, from across the room, starts clapping. Slowly at first, then others join in. Within seconds, the entire conference room is applauding. Julian's eyes never leave mine. So yes, I'm marrying him, and I've never been happier about any decision I've made. After the meeting, I'm swarmed. Everyone wants to congratulate me, ask questions, see the ring. It's overwhelming and wonderful and surreal. But eventually, the crowd disperses, and I find my way to Julian's office. I knock softly and enter. He's standing by his window, the one where he stands at 2:47 on bad days. But today isn't a bad day. Today might be the best day. Hey, I say softly. He turns, and the smile on his face steals my breath. Hey yourself, future husband. That was quite an announcement. Too much? I know I got emotional. It was perfect. You were perfect. I crossed the room to him. Though I think Sarah might need therapy now. She kept whispering, "This is so romantic," and fanning herself. He laughs and pulls me into his arms. Do you have any idea how long I've wanted to do this? Hold you in my office, not hide? 18 months? Try 2 years. Ever since you corrected my data in that board meeting and I wanted to kiss you in front of everyone. You wanted to kiss me? Then? I thought you were going to fire me. I wanted to hire you and fire you and kiss you all at once. You were brilliant and brave and so beautiful I couldn't think straight. I was terrified. My hands were shaking. I know. I noticed. He kisses my forehead. I notice everything about you. Remember? How could I forget? You're the delivery guy who became my fiancé. He groans. Are you ever going to let me live that down? Never. It's my favorite story. The night Leo Martinez got drunk and accidentally confessed to his boss and somehow got a happy ending. Not an ending, he corrects, pulling me closer. A beginning. The beginning of everything. 1 year later, the wedding. The wedding is small, just family and close friends. Julian's mother cries through the entire ceremony. My mom does too. Sarah is my best person, and she gives a speech that's 30% about how romantic our story is, and 70% about how she knew something was different that Monday morning when I came in glowing. We exchange vows in a small garden in Brooklyn, not far from my old apartment, the same apartment where this all started, where I drunkenly confessed to a delivery guy and found the love of my life. Julian's vows make me cry. I promise to always notice the small things, the way you take your coffee, the way you organize your calendar, the way you bite your lip when you're thinking. I promise to see you, really see you, every single day for the rest of our lives. I promise to love the junior analyst who corrected my data, the boyfriend who memorized my schedule, and the husband you're about to become. I promise to make you Thai food when you're sad. I promise to deliver myself to you every single day for as long as we both shall live. My vows are simpler. I promise to keep noticing everything about you. The coffee order, the cologne you use, the way you tap your pen before signing documents. I promise to be brave enough to speak up when something's wrong and patient enough to listen when you need to talk. I promise to love the CEO and the man behind the title. I promise to never stop falling in love with you, even when you're making VPs cry in board meetings. You're my impossible dream that came true, Julian Harrison, and I promise to spend every day making sure you know exactly how loved you are. When the officiator says, "You may kiss your husband," Julian cups my face in those beautiful hands I've memorized, and he kisses me like we're the only two people in the world. And in that moment, we are.
Epilogue. 5 years later. We're sitting in our brownstone in Park Slope, the one we bought together, bigger than my old studio, but not as impersonal as his penthouse. We're eating Thai food from his mother's restaurant because some traditions are worth keeping. I'm a vice president now, earned it through hard work and brilliant presentations, and refusing to accept anything less than what I deserved. Julian made sure of it, pushed me to excel, never coddled me, demanded my best work while loving me through the stress of it all. He's still the CEO, still terrifying in meetings, still making grown men cry with his ruthless precision. But at home, he's Julian, the man who makes me coffee in the morning, still terrible at it. The man who knows I need exactly 17 minutes of silence before I'm ready to talk after a bad day. The man who still wears that navy blue tie because I once said I liked it. Remember 5 years ago? I say, curled up against him on our couch, when you showed up at my apartment as a delivery guy? I remember a drunk junior analyst telling me his boss had a heart made of dry ice. I also remember that same boss telling me he'd been in love with me for 18 months. 2 years, he corrects like he always does. It was 2 years by that point. 18 months was just when I admitted it to myself. Semantics. Important semantics. He kisses the top of my head. Best drunken confession I've ever received. Best delivery I've ever ordered. We sit in comfortable silence for a while. Rain patters against the windows, Brooklyn rain, the same as that night 5 years ago. But everything else is different, better, perfect. Hey, Julian? I love you, in case you forgot. He pulls back to look at me, those gray eyes warm and soft and so full of love it makes my chest ache. I could never forget. You remind me every day with the way you bring me coffee and organize my schedule and tell me when I'm being too harsh in meetings. You show me you love me in 1,000 small ways. I learned from the best. You've been noticing everything about me for 7 years now. And I'll notice everything about you for the next 70 years, and the 70 after that. That's a lot of noticing. You're worth noticing, Leo Harrison. Every single detail, every single day. And he's right, because that's what love is. It's not just the big moments, the proposals and the weddings and the grand gestures. It's the small things, the coffee orders and the cologne choices, and the way someone loosens their tie when they're stressed. It's paying attention, really paying attention. It's seeing someone, all of them, and loving them anyway. It's getting drunk and confessing to a delivery guy who turns out to be your boss. And somehow, impossibly, getting your happy ending.
The end.